This is lesson 6-4. Measurement, changing customary units. The table shows the approximate weights in tons of several large land animals. 1 ton is equivalent to 2,000 pounds. You can use ratio tables, which have columns filled with ratios that have the same value to convert each weight from tons to pounds. Copy and complete the ratio table. The first 2 ratios are done for you. To produce equivalent ratios, multiply the quantities in each row by the same number. And you can see from our first 2 examples that we multiplied the number in the first row, which is tons, times 2,000 to get the number in the second row. So 5 times 2,000 is 10,000, 8 times 2,000 is 16,000. Then graph the ordered pairs, tons, pounds, from the table. Label the horizontal axis, weight in tons, and the vertical axis, weight in pounds. Connect the points. What do you notice about the graph of these points? Here's my horizontal axis, weight in tons. That would be my x-axis. Here's my vertical axis, weight in pounds. That would be my y-axis. My ordered pairs are 1 ton, 2,000 pounds, 4 tons, 8,000 pounds, 5 tons, 10,000 pounds. Even though my fourth pair won't fit on this graph, 3 is more than enough to come up with an accurate graph, and you can see clearly that I get a straight line. The relationship among the most commonly used customary units of length, weight, and capacity are shown in the table below. For each of the relationships above can be written as a unit ratio. Like a unit rate, a unit ratio is one in which the denominator is 1 unit. 3 feet is 1 yard, 2,000 pounds is 1 ton, 4 quarts is 1 gallon. Notice that the numerator and denominator of each fraction above are equivalent, so the value of each ratio is 1. You can multiply by a unit ratio of this type to convert or change from larger units to smaller units. In example 1, we're converting feet into inches. Our unit ratio is 12 inches to 1 foot. We multiply 20 feet times 12 over 1. We divide out the common unit. We take 20 times 12, and we get 240 inches. So 20 feet converts to 240 inches. In example 2, Clarence mixes 1/4 cup of fertilizer with soil before planting each bulb. How many ounces of fertilizer does he use per bulb? Well, I use a unit ratio of 8 fluid ounces per 1 cup. I divide out the common units. I multiply 1/4 times 8, which gives me 2 fluid ounces as my conversion. So 2 fluid ounces of fertilizer are used per bulb. In example A, I'm going to convert 36 yards to feet. 36 yards times 3 feet per yard. Divide out the common units. 3 times 36 is 108 feet. 90 plus 18. In example B, 3/4 ton times the unit ratio of 2,000 pounds per ton. Divide out the common unit. Divide by the common factor of 4. Gives me 500 here. So 3 times 500 is 1,500 pounds in 3/4 of a ton. In example C, I'm converting 1.5 quarts, which I would rewrite as 3/2 quarts. I would use my unit ratio of 2 pints per quart. So times 2 pints per quart. Divide out the common units, divide by the common factor of 2, and my conversion then is 3 pints. To convert from smaller units to larger units, multiply by the reciprocal of the appropriate unit ratio. In this case, I'm going from quarts to gallons. Quarts obviously smaller than gallons. So my unit ratio is 4 quarts per gallon. I use the reciprocal of that. I take 15 times that ratio. I divide out the common units. I get a result of 15 over 4, which they've kind of skipped over here. I rewrite that as 3 3/4, or 3 7/500 gallons, as they've written in the example. Yumika needs 4.5 feet of fabric to make a costume for a play. How many yards of fabric does she need? Well, we're converting from feet to yards. So I take 4.5 times the unit ratio, 3 feet to 1 yard, the reciprocal of that ratio. I change 4.5 to 9 over 2. I divide by the common factor of 3. Gives me 3 over 2 yards, or 1 1/2 yards. So Yumika needs 1 1/2 yards of fabric. To convert 2,640 feet to miles, I'm going to multiply 1 mile over 5,280 feet. That's the reciprocal of my unit ratio. Divide out the common factor. Gives me 2,640 over 5,280, which is 1/2 mile. Example E, 5 pints to quarts. So I'm going to multiply that. There is 1 quart to 2 pints. Divide out the common units. Multiply gives me 5 over 2, or 2 1/2 quarts. Example F, 100 ounces times 1 pound to 16 ounces. Divide out the common unit. Gives me 100 over 16. Divide both of those by 4, gives me 25 over 4, which rewrites to 6 1/4 pounds in this case. Example G, 76 cups. I'm going to convert that to gallons. So I know that 1 gallon equals 16 cups. Cross out or cancel the common units. I get 76 over 16. Divide by 2 gives me 38 over 8. Divide by 2 again, which gives me 19 over 4, which gives me 4 3/4 gallons. Three cups to pints. 3 cups times 2 cups per pint, 1 pint. 2 cups would be the reciprocal of that unit ratio. Divide out the common units. Multiply gives me 3 over 2, or 1 1/2 pints. 18 inches. I'm going to convert that to feet. So I'm going to multiply by 1 foot over 12 inches. That's the reciprocal of my unit ratio. Divide out the common units, gives me 18 over 12. Divide both of those by 6, gives me 3 over 2, which rewrites as 1 1/2 feet. Example J, a 3-pound pork loin can be cut into 10 smaller pork chops of equal weight. How many ounces does each pork chop weigh? Well, they're switching gears on me a little bit here. I've got 3 pounds. I'm going to convert that to ounces, so I get 16 ounces to 1 pound. Divide out the common units. 3 times 16 is 48. That's my ounces. If I divide that by 10, each of my pork chops then will weigh 4.8 ounces. You can also convert from one rate to another by multiplying by a unit rate or its reciprocal. The helicopter flies at a rate of 158 miles per hour. How many miles per second is this? Well, 158 miles in 1 hour times the unit ratio of 1 hour equals 3,600 seconds. I divide by the common unit, in this case it's hours. I get 158 miles in 3,600 seconds, which simplifies to about 4/100 of a mile per second. Example K, a swordfish can swim at 60 miles per hour. So it's 60 miles, 1 hour. How many feet per hour is this? Well, 5,280 feet is 1 mile. Divide out the common units. Multiply 60 times 5,280. And I get 316,800 feet per hour. Ava walks at a speed of 7 feet per second. So 7 feet, 1 second. How many feet per hour is this? Well, if I multiply that there are 3,600, 60 times 60 is 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. I can divide out the common units, and then I take 3,600 times 7, which gives me 25,200 feet per hour. All right, check for understanding. 3 pounds, 2 ounces. 3 pounds times the unit ratio of 16 ounces per 1 pound. Divide out the common units. 3 times 16 is 48 ounces. Example 2, 5 1/3 yards, which I'm going to change to 16/3 yards. And I know that I have 3 feet per 1 yard. That's my unit ratio. Divide out the common units, divide by the common factor of 3, which gives me 16 feet. Cups to fluid ounces, 6.5 cups. There are 8 fluid ounces per cup, so I multiply this 8 fluid ounces per 1 cup. Divide out the common units. I take 8 times 6.5, which is 48 and 4, which is 52 fluid ounces. Number 4. Groupers are members of the sea bass family. A large grouper can weigh 1/3 of a ton. About how much does a large grouper weigh to the nearest pound? Well, 1/3 of a ton. There are 2,000 pounds per ton. Divide out the common units. Gives me 2,000 over 3, which gives me about 667 pounds. 2/3 of a ton, 667 pounds. See if we got room for a couple more. Number 5, 12 quarts to gallons. 12 quarts. I know that there are 4 quarts per gallon, so 1 gallon is 4 quarts. Divide out the common units. Divide by the common factor of 4. And multiply. That tells me there are 3 gallons in 12 quarts. Number 6, 28 inches. I'm going to convert that to feet, so I'm going to multiply 1 foot equals 12 inches. Divide the common units. Gives me 28 over 12, which gives me 14 over 6, which gives me 7 over 3, or 2 1/3 Or I suppose I could write that as 2 feet 4 inches. The world's narrowest electric vehicle is about 35 inches wide and is designed to move down narrow aisles in warehouses. About how wide is this vehicle to the nearest foot? So 35 inches. I'm going to convert to feet, so I'm going to say 1 foot to 12 inches is the reciprocal of my unit ratio. Divide out the common units. Gives me 35 over 12, which is approximately 3 feet, very close. The fastest a human has ever run is about 27 miles per hour. How many miles per minute is that? 27 miles in 1 hour. 1 hour equals 3,000, or excuse me, 1 hour equals 60 minutes. I'm sorry. Divide out the common units, which gives me 27 over 60, which would simplify to 9 over 20. 9 divided by 20 is about 45 hundredths, or 1/2 mile per minute. A unit ratio is a ratio where the denominator is 1 unit. That's the only vocabulary in this lesson. At this point, you should quit the video. Go back to my Moodle page, log in to Lesson Quiz 6-4 using your 6-digit student number as your username and the first 6 digits of your last name and the 2 digits from your birth date as your password.